At the beginning of the 20th century, near the Greek island of Antikythera, divers searching for sponges stumbled upon a sunken ship. Among the wreckage, they discovered a heavily corroded lump of bronze and wood. At the time, no one knew that this modest artifact would revolutionize our understanding of ancient technology. It would later be called the Antikythera Mechanism, and it remains one of the most astonishing archaeological discoveries in history. When the artifact began to be cleaned, gears emerged from beneath the layer of rust. It turned out to be a device with more than 30 gears, capable of predicting astronomical positions, solar and lunar eclipses, the phases of the moon, and even the Olympic Games. All of this was contained in a small wooden box over 2000 years old. The researchers were shocked. The mechanism resembled an analog computer, a level of technology humanity was not supposed to reach for another 1500 years. The complexity of its design cast doubt on the linear model of technological development. Who created it? How did they achieve such precision? Many associate the artifact with Archimedes, although there is no direct evidence. Amazingly, no similar device has ever been found at any other archaeological site. It's as if someone simply forgot to pass this technology on. The most intriguing thing is that this is not just a mysterious artifact, it's a direct slap in the face to our entire understanding of antiquity. How could they possess such engineering ingenuity? And if this is possible, what other discoveries might overturn our established beliefs? Sometimes even sound itself can become an archaeological sensation. A sound hidden in skulls. When archaeologists explored the abandoned cities of the Maya civilization, they could never have imagined that one of the most unusual artifacts would make a sound. Literally. In Texcoco, Mexico, strange objects were found that resembled human skulls, carved from stone and ceramics. They turned out to be whistles, but as soon as someone blew into them, those around felt uneasy. From inside these whistles came a frightening, wild, almost infernal howl reminiscent of the screams of the dying. Scientists called it the whistle of death. Such a sound is difficult to reproduce even with modern technology. It is designed to affect the psyche, causing anxiety, fear, and almost panic. This is not a musical instrument. It is a sonic weapon. Research has shown that such artifacts were used during sacrificial rituals or in battle to exert psychological pressure on enemies. Imagine the silence of the jungle, and suddenly, from dozens of directions, comes the howling of the dead. Even a seasoned warrior might falter. The engineering of these whistles is astonishing. Inside, there's a complex system of channels that makes the sound especially eerie. Moreover, each one sounds different. It's possible there were also musical choirs of death. Modern acousticians still don't fully understand how exactly they achieved such effects. If sound alone can frighten, what happens when the very shape of a structure makes your knees tremble? Pyramids that shouldn't exist. When we hear the word pyramid, Egypt immediately comes to mind. But what if you were told that there are pyramids in China as well? And not just any pyramids, but ones so massive that they were hidden from the world for a long time? In the mid-20th century, American pilots flying over China accidentally photographed giant pyramids hidden among the hills. Some of them reach almost 100 feet in height. So why did no one know about them? The answer is simple and strange. For many years, Chinese authorities did not allow scientists to go there. Only in recent decades have archaeologists gained access, and even then it's limited. The pyramids are mostly covered with earth and vegetation, as if deliberately camouflaged. Many are convinced that the tombs of ancient emperors are hidden beneath them, but there is still no access to the central chambers. And now imagine, in Bosnia, right in Europe, a local archaeologist claimed to have discovered pyramid-shaped hills that even surpass the Egyptian ones in their dimensions. The scientific community responded with ridicule, but when the terrain and soil were studied, it turned out that the structure was indeed geometrically precise, with clear edges, underground tunnels, and signs of ancient workmanship. So did humanity really build pyramids all over the world? Or is this the legacy of some forgotten civilization? For now, the answers remain buried beneath layers of earth and silence. But sometimes the answer isn't on the surface, but deep underground, and it can even kill. A tomb that opened a portal to hell. In the ancient city of Hierapolis, located in present-day Turkey, archaeologists stumbled upon a mysterious sanctuary known as the Plutonium. Ancient texts refer to this place as an entrance to the underworld, literally, to hell. It sounds like a myth, but this place really did exist. And even modern science couldn't explain everything right away. When scientists first entered the ruins, they discovered that birds and small animals were dying en masse near the entrance to the underground chamber. As soon as they got close, they would die in a matter of seconds. People, however, remained unharmed. All of this confirmed the ancient writings. The priests would enter the temple, stand there, and come out alive, while anyone who approached without preparation would die. It turned out to be eerily simple. Beneath the temple lies a geological fault that emits carbon dioxide. It accumulates near the ground and is invisible to the eye. For animals, it is deadly. The priests, however, knew how to avoid the trap. They walked higher up, where the air was cleaner. But how could the ancients perceive such a subtle difference? How did they use these natural phenomena for religious purposes? This temple became proof of how deeply the ancients could manipulate fears and the forces of nature. They literally opened the portal to hell and used it to maintain mystique and power. But if death can be part of architecture, sometimes the mystery lies in mass and weight. The unmovable sarcophagus of Saqqara. In Egypt's Saqqara, beneath a layer of sand, there is something that still baffles scientists. 30 massive sarcophagi made from solid black granite. Each one weighs dozens of tons. They are so enormous and perfectly polished that even modern technology would struggle to create them. And so the question arises, how, when, and why? The sarcophagi are located deep underground, in the catacombs of the Serapeum. Transporting them through the narrow tunnels seems impossible. Some theories suggest that the structures were made on site, but even that raises doubts. At such depths, without light, using primitive tools, there are just too many ifs. Besides their size, their finish is also astonishing. The interior surfaces are perfectly smooth, as if processed with industrial equipment. But these objects are over 2,000 years old. So, who was buried there? The most mysterious thing is that most of the sarcophagi are empty. No bodies, no treasures. Only huge boxes, as if created not for storage but for concealment. Archaeologists still haven't reached a consensus. Some believe these were burials for the sacred Apis bulls. But then why such gigantic and expensive craftsmanship? If the weight is impressive, sometimes the shape says more than the contents. A desert full of eyes. In the very heart of the South American Nazca Desert, lines are hidden that cannot be seen from the ground. These giant geoglyphs, animals, figures, abstract shapes are carved directly into the rocky surface. Some of them stretch for hundreds of feet. And now the main thing, all of this can truly be seen only from a bird's eye view. But the civilization that created them had no aviation whatsoever. Or did they? For decades, scientists have debated why create drawings that can't be appreciated from the ground. There are many theories, from religious rituals to cosmic beacons for the gods. Some lines are perfectly aligned with the sun during the equinoxes, while others lead to water sources. But why draw a giant spider or a hummingbird the size of a city block? Amazingly, the lines are so precise that they create an effect of optical clarity even when viewed from above. The Nazca people used simple tools and ropes to measure out the proportions. But why go to so much effort for images that no living person could ever fully see? Recent discoveries show that more than 1,000 previously unknown figures are hidden in the desert. Some of them are only just beginning to be deciphered, and it seems that the meaning of these messages will remain out of reach for a long time. But while some were drawing on the ground, others were building right on the ocean floor. A city underwater. Off the coast of India, near the city of Dwarka, divers discovered something incredible: traces of an underwater city. Stone streets, walls, anchors, and staircases. All of these lies at a depth of more than 100 feet. For centuries, ancient Indian texts have told of the city of Dwarka, built by the god Krishna. Many considered it a myth until science got involved. Research showed that the structures are indeed man-made and incredibly ancient. Some datings suggest they are 9,000 years old. This calls into question the accepted chronology of civilizations. Before the Sumerians, before the Egyptians, there were already cities underwater. Archaeologists have discovered numerous artifacts, including pottery and copper tools. This means the site was inhabited, developed, and then suddenly submerged, most likely due to a sharp rise in ocean levels. But the scale is astonishing. This is not just a village, it's a full-fledged city. Today, Dwarka is partially closed to unrestricted study. Indian authorities are conducting research, but are restricting access to the full data. Perhaps this is because acknowledging ancient Dwarka would change the entire history of the region. But if someone was able to build underwater, then someone else decided to speak to future generations through mysterious tablets. The Georgia Guidestones. On a hill in the American state of Georgia, at the end of the 20th century, monolithic stone slabs suddenly appeared, bearing messages in 8 languages including Hebrew, Chinese, Hindi, and Russian, engraved with 10 commandments for a new humanity. Who installed them remains unknown. The sponsor used a pseudonym. His identity has not been revealed to this day. The structure was instantly dubbed the American Stonehenge. It is aligned with the cardinal directions, has astronomical functions, and essentially serves as a modern megalith. But the main thing is its content. The first rule is to maintain the Earth's population at 500 million people. The remaining points concern control over reproduction, a single language, and the world court. Many saw this as a hint at global governance, almost a dystopia. Conspiracies, secret organizations, Freemasons, all of this instantly became associated with the mysterious tablets. The authorities brushed it off, saying it was just an art object. But then why bury a time capsule, make precise astronomical alignments, and spend millions? In 2022, the tablets were destroyed by unknown individuals. Someone decided they carried a dangerous message. But the mystery only deepened. So who was really behind their creation? And after all, some artifacts reach us not through stone but through coal. A mechanism in a bronze cube. In the 19th century, workers in an Austrian mine found a bronze object inside a lump of coal, resembling a miniature cube with polished faces and indentations. It was tightly encased in the layered coal, which is estimated to be hundreds of millions of years old. Such an age contradicts not only the history of humanity, but even the very possibility of any intelligent beings existing at that time. The artifact was studied by scientists, including metallurgists. It turned out to be an alloy with nickel impurities, clearly showing signs of artificial manufacture. The mechanical processing is obvious: straight edges, symmetry. But how could it have ended up in coal if metal only appeared tens of thousands of years ago? Some suggested that it was the result of a modern object accidentally ending up in the mine. But analysis showed that the coal around the object was undisturbed, and the item itself was embedded in the rock. In other words, the find is indeed ancient. Later, the cube was lost, and today only its photographs and descriptions remain. This story did not provide a clear answer. It left a question: is it possible that civilizations existed before us and simply disappeared, leaving behind rare, inexplicable fragments? But sometimes, it is not an artifact, but a person themselves who causes confusion. Skulls that do not fit into the theory of evolution. In the deserts of Peru, archaeologists have discovered dozens of skulls whose shapes defy all known anatomical norms: elongated, stretched, almost alien in appearance. Theories about aliens and ancient visitors immediately emerged, but the truth turned out to be no less mysterious. Some of the skulls were intentionally deformed. This was done from childhood, tightly binding infants' heads. Such a practice existed in various cultures from African to indigenous American. It symbolized high status, belonging to the nobility. But here's the problem. Some of the Peruvian skulls have anatomical features that cannot be produced artificially: an increased cranial volume, additional sutures, and unnatural placement of the eye sockets. Research has shown that this may be the result of some local mutation or the manifestation of an entirely different branch of humans. Theories about forgotten tribes, underground peoples, and ancient biological experiments continue to circulate. One thing is clear: some skulls do not fit into classical evolution. And while some argue, scientists continue to search for answers in the bones that could rewrite history. But there are discoveries that are hard to wrap your head around, even under a microscope. Spirals from the depths. In the 1990s, during geological work in the Urals, Russian researchers discovered something astonishing. In layers of Earth, at depths corresponding to ages from 100,000 to 300,000 years, they found tiny metal spirals, so small that they are difficult to see with the naked eye. Their diameter ranges from a few microns to 1 millimeter. What are they made of? Of tungsten and molybdenum materials that humanity only learned to work with in the last century. The shape of these spirals is perfect. They resemble components of modern microchips or antennas. Their construction is so precise that some scientists consider them not a product of nature, but of technology. But how can the presence of such objects be explained in layers that are tens if not hundreds of thousands of years old? Official science is in no hurry to acknowledge their artificial origin. There are theories that these are the result of natural crystallizations, some kind of geological accident. But the shapes are just too perfect, it's just too difficult to fit this into the laws of nature. Some researchers believe these spirals may be possible remnants of a long-lost civilization or traces of an intervention we cannot comprehend. And while the world debates, tiny artifacts lie in museums, capable of turning everything upside down. And sometimes what amazes us about antiquity is not its size, but its function. Batteries from Babylon. In the mid-1930s near Baghdad, archaeologists discovered a strange artifact, a clay vessel containing a copper cylinder, and inside it an iron rod. All of this was filled with the remains of an acidic solution. And here's the question: why did the ancient inhabitants of Mesopotamia need this chemical setup? Researchers quickly came to a shocking conclusion: the design resembled a primitive galvanic battery. Like modern batteries, it could generate an electric current. Just add simple citric acid or wine vinegar and the device starts working. But why? What did they use the electricity for? One hypothesis is that it was a power source for electroplating gold. Supporting this theory are the ornaments found in the same regions, coated with a thin layer of gold that would be very difficult to apply by hand. Some researchers remain skeptical. Perhaps it is simply a vessel for storing scrolls or for rituals. But then why are there metals inside that fit so precisely? Why is there an acidic residue? There are more questions than answers. And perhaps if such batteries had been found in large numbers, we would already be talking about ancient electricity as something normal. But for now, we are only glimpsing the outlines of a great technological past. And where there is technology, there is calculation. Sometimes it is carved in stone for centuries to come, a calendar made of stone. In the mountains of South Africa, in a region called Mpumalanga, archaeologists discovered strange round stones and structures which, as it turned out, make up one of the oldest astronomical calendars in history, named Adam's Calendar. This complex is estimated to be more than 70,000 years old, and it still works to this day. The megaliths are arranged in a solar circle, precisely tracking the days of solstices and equinoxes. And what is especially striking, the orientation of the stones and their shadows not only indicate the changing of the seasons, but also predict eclipses. Who could have built such a complex at a time when officially people were only just transitioning from foraging to a settled way of life? No traces of settlements have been found nearby, nor any artifacts that would explain the level of knowledge involved. Only stone. But stones so precise that modern astronomers had to recalculate them by hand. Local legends speak of celestial beings who descended from the sky. Scientists tend to believe in a forgotten tribe of astronomers. But there is still not a single clear explanation. After all, sometimes even a language can be lost forever. A message from the other world. One of the most mysterious artifacts of Crete is the Phaistos disc. Discovered at the beginning of the 20th century, it is covered with a spiral inscription made up of strange symbols. There are more than 200 of them in total. They do not resemble any known alphabet. The disc is made of fired clay, dating back to around the 2nd millennium BC, and since its discovery, no one in either linguist nor cryptographer has been able to decipher its message. All we know is that the symbols were imprinted using stamps, like a typewriter. And this suggests mass production. Of what exactly? Theories abound. Some believe it is a prayer or a hymn. Others are convinced it's a table or a spell. And some even suggest it's an instruction manual. But none of these interpretations have been confirmed. The Phaistos disc has become a kind of icon among undeciphered ancient messages. We look at it and do not understand. It is like a letter thrown across the ages, but written in a language that no longer exists. Perhaps we will never know what its creators wanted to say, but some things, forgotten for millennia, still find their way out. The labyrinth beneath Egypt. Even Herodotus mentioned the great underground labyrinth near Lake Moeris. He wrote that he saw it with his own eyes and could not convey its scale. Thousands of rooms, halls, corridors. The Greeks were more amazed by it than by the pyramids. But over time, this place faded into legend, until modern ground-penetrating radars appeared. Recently, not far from the pyramids in Hawara, Egyptian and European researchers discovered something that closely resembles that very labyrinth. Beneath layers of sand and stone lies a gigantic underground complex. Geoscanning revealed a multi-level structure, a network of holes, passages, and even water channels. But all of this is off limits. The Egyptian authorities have acknowledged the existence of the structure, but have restricted excavations. Why? Some believe that there may be a repository of ancient texts or artifacts there that could call the established chronology into question. There are no clear answers, but the very fact of the existence of an underground megastructure the size of a city block already changes our perception of ancient Egypt. And here, it is worth placing a careful yet significant full stop. Archaeology is not just about the past, it is a mirror that reflects our present. Every discovery is not just an artifact, but a challenge. A challenge to our complacency, to our sense of uniqueness, to our confidence that we are the pinnacle of evolution. It turns out the ancients knew, sensed, and were capable of much more than we would like to admit,